Alright everyone, what's good? Johan here to bring you the part 2 of the unit review series. Okay, so we have about 8 or 9 of you left, so we're gonna wrap that up in this video. Once again, the timestamps will be in the description below or maybe the pinned comment, so if you just want to see your own personal review, you can jump straight to it. But other than that, I hope you will enjoy the video, enjoy the builds, and enjoy the really cool stuff that people have submitted. So let's get right into it. Alright, to start us off, let's take a look at Faye Kename's Aries here, which is plus 10, plus 5, very nice. And you said this build is for anti-abyssal nuking. Okay, summoner supported budget build. Alright, so right off the bat, I can see here that you're using the AoE special loop. Yep, life and death 3, squad attack. CO for the attack boost on AoE, hit and run to run away and reposition yourself, and defense smoke. I'm assuming with defense smoke that you're probably running at least one dancer, probably 3 if it's abyssal. So yeah, this probably serves you really well. I mean, yeah, generally with abyssal, like, it's a very common strategy to just cheese them with triple dancers and 1 crazy carry. So yeah, this probably does you well because you have like what, 70 attack with summoner support, and then probably a buffed 76, 77 attack. That's probably going to kill like most everything, honestly. I guess the trickiest thing when it comes to using Aries is trying to get that charge off to begin with. It's not the hardest for Abyssal because there's so many ways you can initiate and things like that. So if you like initiate on any melee unit, and you 2-hit KO them with the double, like, you'll get your Blazing Wind ready. Though I guess if you wanted to make your life a little easier regarding that, I could suggest using Raphael as a partner, the new one we just got, because he would reduce this down to 2. So you could even initiate on ranged units, so long as you hit them twice. With 70 plus attack, like, you might one-shot them. Good chance you're going to one-shot, though it is Abyssal worth speaking, so maybe not. Yeah, I think Raphael would be pretty cool, because he's a dancer, and he gives you that special cooldown. You could even run like 2 or 3 Raphaels to meme, get it up immediately from the beginning, but then you're sacrificing your mobility, your winged flyer mobilities from like Rayson, Leanne, Legendary Zur and stuff. Speaking of, yeah, I'm sure you're at least running a couple. Maneuvering around in abyssal maps is really important and stuff, so flyer dancers are generally preferred since you can use things like aerobatics and guidance. So yeah, if you're not already doing that, you can consider that. But other than that, yeah, like, this is, I wouldn't really change anything here. This is solid as it is. What else you got here? So you got the bonfire. I'm assuming you have like DC. Yeah, there's the DC. You even got a tech defense solo. You got the Vantage. Yeah, you know your stuff. You know your stuff. So yeah. All right, really cool build. Thank you for submitting. It's good to see. Always good to see love for genealogy characters and stuff. So yeah. All right, so we'll move on to the next. All right, so next up we have Roy's daddy. All right, Eliwood, LA Eliwood. You said this is for general build, but you would also like suggestions for tier 21 arena, summoner supported, optimal build. He's max merge, and you generally run him with armors, but you also have the Eliwood emblem. All right. Okay, so you have the Slaying Lance, swap Aether, DC, special fighter, attack speed bond. Yeah, generally speaking, like, I would say this is probably pretty optimal. He has the speed to run special fighter, and you have attack speed bond to boot, so that's great. And if you have visible buffs on him, that's a really solid amount. So yeah, and having Slaying Lance rather, lets you get the Aether off every combat, assuming there's no guard effects, and you are able to, and you get, and you double, that is. One thing you could consider is running Blue Flame here, with Slaying Lance, of course, because it goes down to 2 cooldown. So, and it synergizes well with your attack speed bond. So you instantly retaliate with Blue Flame. Of course, that hurts his sustainability. So, you know, just switch up depending on the situation. But of course, Blue Flame is kind of hard to get, so that's just something to consider. And when you're running in with Eliwood emblem, one thing you may want to consider is getting that new armored stride. Now I know definitely pulling for Edelgard is not the easiest thing in the world, especially if it's for fodder and for a team that you don't always use. But I assume that armored stride's gonna be more easily available like in the near future. So that's something to consider. So you don't need to run armored boots with your Eliwood emblem, and you can run something else on your seal. Let's see. Yeah, speaking about the seal, attack speed bond 3 is great. Of course, you can always switch it out with a different bond skill or a stance skill for more consistency, or depending on the situation. But if we're talking tier 21 arena, so you're gonna have to unfortunately swap Armored March for a 300 SP skill, because since Eliwood does not have a preferred weapon, he needs 2 300 SP skills to score max. So in that case, I would probably dump Armored March on another teammate who has a preferred weapon, and then replace this with something like Joint Hone Speed to buff his speed a bit more, or Joint Drive Attack to make him hit harder and your teammates harder. Threatened Attack Defense and Threatened Attack Speed are also options, since he's a pure enemy phase unit. Threatens aren't the best of skills, but yeah, since he's, you know, DC type of build and an armor, you know, it works fine. Let's see. You also need the Dual Rally Plus, or Rally Plus skill, or Harsh Command Plus to score max as well. So you need to get your hands on that. So I noticed you're Fire Blessed. The thing about Fire Season is you're gonna be running into Legendary Celicas, Legendary Edelgards, and Legendary Hectors. They're like the 3 most common Legendary heroes you see for Fire. There's also Roy, but he's not as common. And the thing is, they're all green, and they all are, maybe Hector less so, but Edelgard and Celica like are pretty hard hitters. So it's going to be really tough dealing with those two for Fire Season when you have Eliwood. So you definitely want a red teammate of some sort. Probably an armor, of course, or a legendary hero of your own, like Roy. But of course, that's hard to get. So yeah, definitely need a red teammate if you're going to run him on Fire Season. If you don't want to deal with that, then you can switch this out for a different season. I didn't think about this too much, but maybe Earth Season would probably be pretty okay, I think. Well, you can just look at the list of legendary heroes and make your decision from there. But I know Fire suits Eliwood because he's, you know, Blazing Blade and everything. But just something to keep in mind. Another thing you might want to consider for Arena is switching this to a Slaying Spear, because there's a lot of armors. But if you don't run into too many armors, or you don't have too much trouble with them, then I think Slaying Lance is in general better. And I noticed when I checked earlier, you did have like the Gale Force Bolt Fighter. Let's see. Yeah, Gale Force, and you had the Bolt Fighter. So if you wanted to try out some player phase stuff, shenanigans in Arena, it's definitely viable on him. So yeah, as long as you can get the movement consistent. But yeah, really cool. Thanks for showing your Eliwood here. I'm a big fan. If he wasn't armor, I probably would have built him, but I'm not a big fan of armors. But still good to see support for him. Alright, thanks. And we'll move on. Okay, next up we have Lord Camelot with your Ayra. Alright. So you asked for general purpose advice, and she is summoner supported. Medium/optimal investment. Excuse me. Not plus 10 yet, but you are intending to eventually. No static teammates, but you usually have a Dancer and Color Balance. Legendary Zero, of course. Alright, and let's see. So you have Swift Sparrow 3, Repel 3. You got the Times Pulse. It's really spicy. Brazen attack speed. Alright. Okay, so you get instant Regnal Astros every turn, which is really nice. Let's see. Definitely serviceable as it is. This alone will handle most content, no problem. If you wanted to fine-tune it a bit, let's see. So for the Brazen Attack Speed 3, you could potentially switch this out for more consistency. Since you have Instant Time Pulse, or Instant Regnal Astra, I should say, on top of Repel, like, it might be a little tricky to get into Brazen Attack Speed, Brazen Range in general, because your Regnal Astra is going to one-shot quite a few enemies. So at that point, Brazen is a little wasted. But of course, if you just kill something and then face tank something the next turn, you're probably good. But yeah, if you want it to be a bit more consistent, so Sparrow Seal is fine. On that note, let's see. So you have Repel and Swift Sparrow 3. So if you wanted to optimize Repel's usage a bit more, you could swap this out for Attack Speed Solo 4 that we just got. And that's because you would get the speed boost on enemy phase as well. Because on enemy phase you have, what, 48 speed? Yeah, 48 speed if you have buffs, maybe from Legendary Zera, 55. And if Brazen's up, it's good. It's at a good amount. But if it's not, 55 is pretty good. It will cover your general content, no problem. But in Arena, it probably won't. You probably will be taking regular damage from most of the faster threats. But we're not talking Arena right now, so you don't have to do this, of course. Swift Sparrow 3 is just fine. You could also consider Attack Speed Push 4. So that does hurt your overall tanking a bit if you want to keep Repel. However, it does synergize well with Brazen Attack Speed. So for the shorter maps, it's definitely really good. Something to consider. I think you had like quite a bit investment in her. Yeah, you got the, I think I saw Death, yeah, Death Blow 4, Splashing Blade 4. You have some attack speed solo. We got the Raft, Special Spiral. Yeah, you've invested quite a bit into her. So yeah, no, if you wanted to focus more on the pure player phase, then no follow-up would be fine. But yeah, Repel is just so good. It's hard to not want to use this. So yeah, that's about all I have to say. This is fine as it is, dude. This is amazing. So yeah, good luck on your plus 10 adventures. And yeah, so let's move on. Okay, so next up we have, looks like Sad Saint with your Walhart. Alright, nice. Okay, we got a maxed out Walhart here. He has Distant Foil, Low Attack Defense. Alright, Rouse Attack Defense and Close Defense. Alright, your defense stacking like crazy here, which is really cool. Let's see, you're asking for a general purpose build. He is summoner supported, alright. And you're asking for optimal. Advice for best teammates, if possible, or a way to make him more competitive. Okay. So yeah, this is really super tanky physical build, though you're really slow is the issue, I guess. You're going to be at, what, 36? Maybe like 40 something if you have buffs, which is not the fastest in the world, but you definitely hit hard, and you take like no physical damage. If that's the idea you're going for, like this is fine. It's just the thing is, in my opinion, Walhart as an enemy phase unit is kind of awkward because generally when you're enemy phasing, you are typically near your team as they can support buff you and things like that. And that means enemies are coming at you one by one. So you're probably not going to be getting your Wolfberg buffs too often. So that's the thing with you running an enemy phase build for Walhart. But if you wanted to keep this, let's see here. I definitely recommend running Quicker Post in some fashion, whether it be replacing your B or CO, though you have low attack defense, so that's like, you probably don't want to replace that. You could run Quicker Post here. I think being able to double is really important, because even with all these attack buffs, like, he still might struggle to one-shot some key targets. You don't want to keep teammates near him generally, but if you wanted to put one by him, it would definitely be probably legendary, not legendary, Brave Lucina. Since Brave Lucina's weapon works with him, since he's an axe unit. So what you could do is run things like distant guard stacking on Lucina, or could put like a AR style shove and a link skill on Brave Lucina, so you can throw Walhart in, shove him, and give him a bunch of buffs. And then you can give him a 2-turn cooldown special, which means he'll be able to instantly retaliate with Moonbow or Noontime, or if you want to tank, or even Glimmer I guess would work because of the breath effect that Lucina gives. If you run quicker posts with that, you could even run something else, like Ignis. Distant foil is fine if you want to stay physical, but if you wanted to be a bit more consistent, you could run regular DC or even distant ward just for the magic checks, even though his res is really trash. But yeah, Rouse is fine, but you could consider running Attack Smoke to increase his buff, or increase his enemy phase even more. If you can somehow get these buffs on him a separate way. Example, Brave Lucina using Shove with a Link skill. But yeah, personally, if you ask me, I think a player phase build is suited for Walhart. If you look here, I actually made an example build for once, so let's see, bring it up here. So this is the type of player phase build I would consider running on him. So this is just an example, of course, this is not the be-all end-all. So he has like, his speed is generally pretty low, it's 32 or 34 with regular summoner support. But it is workable, honestly, especially since we got attack speed solo 4 recently. If you throw him in, he gets 4 speed from his Wolfberg. This is with the example 6 buff into speed using whatever, Honed Cavalry or speed tactics or whatever like that. So 40 and then 44 from Wolfberg. Attack speed solo makes it 51. And then low attack speed effectively makes it 54. So he gets really, really fast. So if you use this in combination with Heavy Blade, you could run like a really solid Gale Force build, honestly. So you would, if you initiate combat on a melee unit, and assuming you double them, you attack, goes down to 2, or Gale Force goes down to 3, they counter, goes down to 2, and then you attack again to finish them off, get Gale Force off, and then you can kill someone else or just run away to reset. So I think, personally, that's like optimal Walhart. It makes best use of his weapon, and speed. His speed is like definitely workable, honestly. That's just an example, though. You could even run something like a mixed phase build, where you try to take out an enemy and then run distant counter to tank the rest. Which is kind of what you can already kind of do that with your set here. Assuming you can one-shot someone. It's just that he's pretty slow with this build, so it'll be hard to one-round people. But yeah, that's probably all I would have to say. I guess if you run this build, a good teammate with him would be the Herons, the Flying Herons, that is, because you would have to set it up so they can transform, but they can actually keep up with Walhart's 3 move, so I think that would definitely be a good way to maximize on his Gale Force player phase usage. I think that's about all I have to say. There's definitely more ways you can go about his build, but that's just personally something I would build if I invested into him heavily. So hope that helped. If you want to stay enemy phase, that's perfectly fine as well. I definitely recommend QR though. Alright, so yeah, we'll move on. Okay, and next we have MoltenCheeze with your Duo Idunn. Okay, so we have, let's see, a general use build, generally PvE, or you asked if AR defense could be possibly viable here. Summoner supported, okay. Medium investment stuff, you don't have tier 4 stuff or DC. Max flowers, and you're gonna merge her if you get better IVs. Good luck with that. I hope that comes around soon. Okay, so really unfortunate IVs here, but with the way you built her, it doesn't matter too much. So you have you're running the Fortress Defense Res Vengeful Fighter combination with Iceberg. So this means most of your damage is coming from nuking with your 24 damage Iceberg here, or could be more if you're buffed up and stuff. So yeah, that's honestly the best way to make up for her attack bane here. So I think that's fine, honestly. I think currently you may have accidentally switched off her typical seal, because I don't think you would normally be running Sturdy Blow here. So I will pretend that's not supposed to be there. But anyway, this combo's fine as it is. I wouldn't mess with that too much, given your situation. I would replace your C slot though. Like, I understand you want to have a buff on her to get her Zephyr Breath going, but it's just the thing is odd wave skills are just really inconsistent, so they're not too reliable. Especially for an armor unit, because they have limited movement, so you don't have too many ways to like bait and switch or stall something out or things like that. So I would definitely switch this to something else. Ideally, you have a teammate that buffs her. You could also be running a Rouse skill or an Oath skill. Oath skills are a bit hard to come by, but Rouse skills, you do have the one that just came out on Ferdinand. It is 20k feathers and it does buff speed, which is not necessarily too useful for her, but with plus speed, honestly, like 35 speed, you could prevent some doubles. Not that it actually matters now that I think about it, because she prevents doubles anyway. So yeah, it's just a budget idea for Rouse for the time being, until you maybe get a better one you want to put on her. Unfortunately, it requires her to be solo, so if you're trying to run Armor March, that doesn't really work well. But let's see. Yeah, this doesn't work with Armor March. But I mean, it's also within 2 spaces of an ally, so that's still a pretty easy requirement, honestly. So I would definitely switch this out to either a self-buffing skill that's more reliable, or Attack Smoke. Attack Smoke would also help with her tanking a ton. So that's something I would definitely recommend. Yeah, your C slot rather, should be, again, more tanking stuff. If you want to patch up the attack a bit, you could run, Sturdy Stance or Mirror Stance, but also you could run a Bond skill, Defense Res Bond for more bulk, Attack Res Bond, Attack Defense Bond. All that stuff works fine here. Yeah, you could even run Attack Smoke here to use something else on the C slot. So yeah, I would have brought up running the Bold Fighter QR setup, but unfortunately that doesn't work out too well for her, because if she uses Iceberg, for example, with Bold Fighter QR, it works in player phase, but for enemy phase, you're not getting that extra special cooldown, and the opponent cannot double you with this condition. So with quicker posts, you won't be able to get the Iceberg off. So that's off the table, actually. But yeah, that's basically all I would change for now, like these two. Otherwise, it's fine. For AR, like, it's kind of a mixed bag, because on one hand, she hard counters Broadleaf users because she nullifies all debuffs on her. But on the other hand, she's a really slow armor, 1 movement, with really low player phase potential, unless you completely revamp the build. So, I wouldn't recommend using her personally, unless you have a really well thought out team. And you don't even see Broadleaf much until like the upper end of AR, so I wouldn't invest into that sector too much right now. On offense, she has her place though, of course, with that dual skill. So I guess if you did want to use her for defense, definitely have her with the Armored March user, and you could potentially use her with as a Wings of Mercy hub, like I mentioned in some of the other builds, where you just tank something to get to like 50% health, and then your units in the back with Wings of Mercy just pop in and pick off some units. It's not the most reliable, in my opinion, but for this kind of scenario, especially since she tanks like too hard, honestly. But Yeah, maybe you could do like lightning trapped shenanigans and stuff. But either way, I don't recommend her too much in AR defense right now. So yeah, that's all I have to say. But thank you for your submission. I really hope you get that merge soon. She should be being rerun in a couple more mythic banners, legendary banners. She should be back soon. So yeah, good luck with that, man. Thank you. And let's move on. Okay, so next is Yume. Yume's Seliph. Alright. Good old Seliph. When are you gonna get an alt, man? Oof, super overdue. Anyway, so we have a +10 Seliph. Nice. Plus defense. He is summoner supported. You're asking for an optimal general build. And a general build that's focusing on his self-sustainability. Okay, so you have the Slaying Edge here actually instead of his PRF. That's interesting. You have the Blue Cena support, which actually that makes sense why you'd want to use Slaying Edge. Brave Lucina, that is. And he's planned to be teamed with PA Azura and Legendary Alm. Alright. Okay. So I see what you're doing here. You said this was a build that you used to handle one of the Abyssal maps, I think. Or one of the Legendary Hero maps. I think it was Lyn. So really cool. This definitely is one of the better sustain builds with Brave Lucina, since you're guaranteeing that you're getting off Aether every combat. So that's really nice. So one thing to consider is if damage isn't as important, it all depends on the map and scenario. You could run. I think you already have it. You could be running Soul. Yeah, you could be running Soul in combination with oh man, your Wrath 2. Yeah, the LOL skill. If you run roll, excuse me, if you run LOL attack defense along with Soul, that actually gives you like really good sustainability because you're nerfing their attack and you are healing more often than Aether. So, well, I guess just after the first combat, but still something to consider. You said he has a different build too, so that might even be what you run. Yeah, so the combo works fine as it is, honestly. Not too much to change if you want to just leave it like this. If you wanted to make some fine-tuning, I'm going to make the same suggestion I did for a lot of other builds, and that is to invest into speed. So, very original, I know, but it does work fairly well with Seliph, because his main problem with this build is being prone to doubles and impact skills. So there isn't too much you can do about the impact skills other than running no follow-up, but I'll get into that later. But if you speed dump into him, so he has 30 right now, you could switch to speed boon. Or sorry, he's 32 right now because of summer support. 32, speed boon puts him at 35. If you switch to speeder fine, that's 38. And if you give the proper drive support from Lucina, so that's already 41 from Gearskugel, and then 42 or 43 if Lucina is close enough, which he should be. And then if you give her drive speed, that's 47. Like that's good enough to prevent a lot of doubles, or even double yourself. And then you could even replace quick riposte with like, swift stance or a bond skill with speed, or what's the other one? Actually, I don't think we have the other one. Steady stance. We don't have that one yet. But yeah, you can get him into the low mid-50s speeds. Like that's really good because getting doubled is kind of dangerous, honestly, even for a tank, because like someone like Legendary Alm could get Lunar Flash on you, and that will hurt you a lot. So if you speed dump, like you could potentially prevent those doubles from happening, which also prevents the specials from hitting you. Of course, you could run the guard effect with Steady Stance 4 or something like that. I think you had it, but of course you're giving up distant counter at that point, so it's kind of a big trade-off. So if you speed dump, you can solve that problem already, and you probably will double as well. And also, you could run no follow-up here. So if you run the no follow-up, that also prevents impact skills from affecting you. So that's kind of pretty big deal, honestly. Like, you're able to double back guaranteed, which means you're able to get off your Aether or your Souls even more consistently with taking even less damage. So, like, speed is, I think, pretty crucial and definitely workable with him if you're using Brave Lucina as a support, like, consistently. If you don't run Lucina as support with him, or if you're running him, if you can't use her for some reason, then I wouldn't recommend it because he doesn't get enough speed at that point. But with Lucina, definitely I think it's worth investing into that type of build. But I understand that it takes a lot of fodder and stuff, investment and everything. So it might not be worth it in the end. Or it might not, it just might be a little too much when this build already is perfectly serviceable. I'm just giving advice if you want to make it a bit more fine-tuned. Also, if you dump into the speed and you find that you're not really satisfied with how much speed he's getting, you could honestly just leave Quicker Post on along with no follow-up, because you can use both of them together, and it's actually pretty nice because you prevent doubles from skills such as fighter skills, and also you still can get your Quicker Post off through impact skills. So that's really good synergy right there if you want to invest more into your speed. So yeah, I think that's all I would say about this. Like, it's a great build, so thanks for showing me this. It's awesome. Always love to see the love for Seliph. That's what I was trying to say. So yeah, thanks, and we'll move on to the next. Alright, and next, so actually we have someone named FireWeeblem here. I think I saw you post on Reddit. However, I didn't see a comment about the details of your Wendy here. So I'm just going to kind of go by what I see and make suggestions off of that. But honestly, based on what I see already, this is solid as it is. I can tell you're running running this for, I would assume, Arena, because you have the double rally max score stuff. Though she is light blessed, so maybe you're using her for Aether rates for a second. But yeah, this is like the go-to build, honestly. Go-to enemy phase build. Weighted Lance with the Vengeful Spider. I said Spider, wow. Vengeful Fighter. Distant Counter. It is like bread and butter at this point. So yeah, I definitely wouldn't change that. Panic Ploy is great because of her high HP. Only thing I might change is probably Defense Smoke. Because I personally think it's more beneficial to focus on her defenses more since she's enemy phase based, so I would switch this to Attack Smoke. But I guess her attack is pretty low, and I don't know, maybe Aether won't be exactly enough damage, so who knows. If that's the case, then Defense Smoke is fine, I suppose. But if you're focusing on purely her tankage, then Attack Smoke is something I would recommend instead. I don't know, I don't have a list of what you're looking for exactly, so I can't go too in depth. But you could also switch to the player phase build. I don't know if you have that investment. Let's see. Oh wow, you have Distant War too. Okay, you're definitely giving some love to Wendy here. Yeah, you don't have Bolt Fighter though, so that is, if you want to try experimenting with player phase stuff, you could definitely do the Bolt Fighter variant. But yeah, thanks for the build. Sorry I couldn't do too much, but I didn't have any comments to work with, so yeah. Again, if you want to make another submission next time I do this, you could make sure to follow the guidelines to the left over there. Left side, right? Yeah, left over there, and I can give you a bit more detailed tips. But yeah, thanks for the unit, and we'll move on. Okay, and next up we have Metroplex, another Soleil. All right, so we got that nice bell ringer here. Fancy premium fodder. Alright, so you said, let's see here, you wanna, this is a general purpose build. She is summoner supported, optimal. Yeah, you have a lot of premium skills going on here. Support partner is Legendary Zura, though she's often out of range, but the buffs are probably enough anyway. And plus speed, maxed out, yep, alright. So yeah, this is Really, really, really cool build. So you have the Bell Ringer. So that just heals you a lot. On top of having Close Call, which means you're taking like minimal damage. DC for just being able to counter everything. Tech Smoke to tank even better. Yeah, this is really good sustain. Glimmer to make up for damage. I'm sure you could even run something like Noontime if you want more sustain. So yeah, it is really cool. I like it. So you have the Phantom Speed 3 here. So this is maybe the only change I would suggest. So you have 47 speed, and assuming you're buffed up with Legendary Zura, that you're at what? Oh wait, you're at 49, sorry. 49, and then with Legendary Zura's buffs, you hit what? 55, 56 speed. And personally, if you ask me, that's for general content, that's plenty high enough to get the max reduction. So I don't think you really need to run Phantom Speed. Like the only characters you would definitely get max damage hit by is probably like the super fast recent units that are released, like your Bernadettas and whatnot. So I can understand if you want to run it then, but in general, since you're speaking in general, you could possibly switch this out for, you know, a stance skill. Like you can use Swift Stance for speed stat that actually helps you double a bit, and gives you more stats than something else. A Bond skill. If you want to be more player phase with Sparrow, you could even run Flashing Blade to run like a different special. So just a suggestion. If you're in Arena, then perhaps this is okay. Though I guess it doesn't score as well, so maybe not. But yeah, units in Arena will be smashing you with like high 50s, 60 plus speed, so I can understand wanting it at that point. But still, I think having actual speed is a bit preferred in general. Yeah, Bell Ringer is great. I love this. This is great. But if you wanted to explore other options, you could use Petal Parasol from Summer Fiora. Since you already have the Attack Smoke, which synergizes pretty well with it, it just gives you more attack and more speed, so just an idea. It's in combat buff too, so you don't have to worry about getting panicked or anything. Yeah, so yeah, this is awesome. I love the build. It's really unique. I haven't seen something like this, so thanks for showing this to me. I'm sure anyone else watching would enjoy it. So yeah, I guess we'll move on. Okay, so our last build for this session is going to be Niter 23's Ross. Okay, so you have a plus 10 Ross, and you are asking for Arena 21 build, or Tier 21 Arena build, possibly AR. You don't have Summoner support, you're looking for Optimal, and you've debated between a Combat build or a Cheerleader build. Okay, so Ross is another one of those units like Soleil where they're like a Build-A-Bear unit. They have no preferred skills, but they have a really good stat line, so there's a lot of different stuff you can do with them. So I'm just going to give you a couple of builds a bit later. But first, if you're talking Arena Tier 21 Arena, you want to score optimally, which means you need to replace this with a Rally Up plus skill, or a double Rally plus, or Harsh Command plus. Aether is fine since it's a 500 SP skill. And unfortunately, since Ross has no preferred weapon, he needs a 300 SP A and C slot. So unfortunately, that means Steady Breath has to go, but you could still use it for general content. So it's not the end of the world. Looking here, you have a build that's kind of all over the place. You have an enemy phase build, enemy phase skill, support skill, and a player phase seal. So I think it'd be better if we honed in on different types of builds that have a more defined role. So it'll probably drastically change from what you have here, but please understand we're just trying to focus on one defined role. Before we check, actually, you have Earth Blessing, which I think is a really good choice for Ross since he's a green unit. Earth has threats such as Legendary Tiki, who's blue, Legendary Julia, who is blue. There's also Ike, but he's not much of a threat nowadays. And there's Alm, who is kind of a threat, so you have to watch out for him. But Ross has decent bulk, so perhaps you'll be able to take him. Anyway, I think Earth is fine a fine choice. So I'm going to bring up a couple of example builds here. So first up is a more enemy phase build. So once again, it's a speed dump, so naturally coming from me. But the thing is, Ross has a really workable speed stat, and on top of having like respectable mixed bulk, like at base. So I took advantage of this and went for a tanky speed build. So we have the new huge fan here from the new Hinata. This works pretty well in tandem with distant counter repel, because even since you're dropping steady breath, this still gives you special cooldown. Granted, it's not on your attack, but it's still from their attack, so you're still getting some form of acceleration. So Aether is something that you could realistically get off. The dual rally skill can be whatever here, like it's just as long as it's 400 SP, it's whatever. Distant counter, for obviously since he's an enemy phase build, this will help him take care of Legendary Julia, so that's really nice. And perhaps like fight one-on-one with Alm pretty decently, perhaps. I haven't run the calcs there yet, but it'll probably be still pretty scary. And we have Repel. So the buff here for speed is a typical either double rally plus buff or a tactics buff, so +6. So speed's going to 48. And in combination with Swift Stance 2, he has 52 speed. So that's really respectable for tier 21. It's not the highest in the world, but I think it will definitely suffice in my opinion. Especially since Legendary Tiki doesn't get too fast, as well as Legendary Julia. Alm will definitely hit you for full damage, but there isn't much you can do about that. But yeah, Huge Fan is nice since you get more attack and defense from it too, so it just works really well in tandem with the whole kit. Repel obviously is Repel, it's broken. The C skill is more flexible. I put Joint Hone Speed there because it gives him self buff, which activates his Huge Fan immediately, but it is a really premium skill and you probably don't have it, so you could replace this with other tier 3 skills such as Joint Drive Attack or Threaten. I wouldn't recommend Threaten too much, but it does have its place, I guess. Or, you know, tier 4 Hone skill, all that stuff. It's flexible. But yeah, this is something I think works really well for Earth Season, personally. So if you want to put in the effort for this, I think it'll definitely be worth it. Yeah, and another example I have is more player phase oriented. Here we go. So this time we have the Slaying Hammer to deal with the armor units, which are pretty common. The weapon is kind of flexible. You can run like Slaying Axe. And we have Ruptured Sky to just get more quick damage in, since it's a low cooldown attack, especially in tandem with Slaying Axe. Actually, it doesn't really matter because being at 1 cooldown doesn't make much of a difference when you're initiating from player phase. But anyway, again, this is a speed invested build. This time, since you're not running DC, you can invest even heavily into speed with Attack Speed Push 4. Could also be Attack Speed Solo 4, Swift Sparrow 4, or Swift Sparrow 3 rather. Oh gosh, don't wanna be worried about Swift Sparrow 4 yet. Along with Swift Sparrow 2, so he gets a ton of speed. He probably doubles Legendary Ulm at this point. And no follow-up is there to help him deal with any heroes that block follow-ups, obviously, like your armors or things like Edelgard, Legendary Edelgard. Granted, it has to be Fire Season then, but it could happen. And also lets you deal with, in the event you need to enemy face something, it lets you deal with fighter skills, of course. But the B skill is a bit flexible. You can run even a low skill, works really well. Joint Drive Attack for just more added oomph. So yeah, this is something this is like a player phase build I would probably build on him if I ever had the chance and the fodder to do it. And if you wanted to be more supportive, like you said, as a cheerleader, you could take advantage of his really high HP and run Sudden Panic in tandem with Panic Ploy. Distant counter's still there because even at base high max merges, like he would still probably, if not one-shot, be pretty close to one-shotting Legendary Julia. Yeah, Sudden Panic is just super good for Arena. Like, since enemies often just stay together and constantly rally each other, it's really good. The weapon, Hagoida's buffs are really like minuscule at this point in this day and age, so this can be replaced with something like you could even use a Cake Cutter from Groom Marth to have like a mini joint hone speed, so that would be pretty good as well as a support. Yeah, Hagoida, it could make a big difference when you least expect it. So there aren't many support options for a weapon, so I just kind of threw it there. Panic Ploy is fine for the CO here. You do have Sudden Panic, but there are times when enemies start separating and you want to panic something directly. C skill is also very flexible. So yeah, this is an example of a cheerleading build. I think I've seen someone run this build before, actually, from YouTube somewhere. But yeah, just a suggestion if you want him to be more support. Yeah, I don't necessarily recommend running a support type of Ross since his stat line, I feel like it's kind of wasteful then. But again, not too many good core units have this high HP that aren't armor, so yeah, and armors can't run Sudden Panic. So yeah, that's an example. But yeah, these are all just some builds that I thought up, but there's definitely plenty more you could experiment with. It's endless, really. So I hope you are able to find something that suits your playstyle once you hit your max scoring potential. So yeah, if you have any further questions about Ross, then leave it in the comments. Alright, yeah, that one went pretty long, so sorry about that. There's just so much to talk about this character, but yeah. Okay, and I think that's gonna wrap it up. But before we do, look at this guy. Exemplar. I don't know if this is one of my watchers and he saw my poll video for Bride Micaiah or something, but this guy, or girl, just straight up adds me and shows me their plus 10 Micaiah, max invested. Soon. Mine's actually at plus 4. I got 2 more Micaiah since the poll video, so we're making progress. Yeah, this is the ultimate goal. I'll probably run this build as well for AR offense, except with Miracle, and I'll probably use a Tamari support user. Probably Tethys, honestly. So she can use Tamari and be a dancer. So I don't have to use this for Micaiah herself. She can use something else. But yeah, anyway, we're done. we're done. Alright, and that about wraps up the very first unit review session. It was broken into 2 parts, but yeah. So I had a lot of fun with this, guys. Thank you all for your submissions. It was really fun looking at your builds. Though it did take me a lot of time, a lot more time than I expected to put these videos together. So I don't think I'll be doing this every week or every 2 weeks maybe. But I definitely want to do it at least once a month maybe. Depends on how busy I get. The quarantine is kind of ending in Japan, so I'll be going back to work soon. Actual work, I should say. But anyway, yeah, I hope you guys found my advice helpful or insightful or whatever. Of course, in the end, again, you don't have to use my suggestions if you don't like them or you're already satisfied with what you got. That's perfectly fine. We're just all enjoying this game full of Fire Emblem characters in the end anyway, right? So yeah, I look forward to seeing even more of your submissions in the future. Yeah, even if you already submitted one for these sessions, you are free to submit a new one for the next time. So yeah, looking forward to that. And yeah, if you enjoyed this content, please do all the YouTube stuff, like, comment, subscribe, whatever. Definitely have gotten a decent amount of growth in the past month or so, so thank you guys a lot. I think we're going to be trying to hit that 500 sub goal, I guess. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, yeah, I'll see you next time, guys. Have a good one. Peace out.